am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
Hey, it's Patrick again. 'Tis the season to be jolly, and nothing makes me feel jollier than a clean home. With the holidays right around the corner, it's time to get ready for friends and family, and there's no better way to do that than with Zero Res. If this is the first big gathering you're having this year with your friends and family during the holidays, it's a good idea to make sure Zero Res gets your home in tip-top shape for your company. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google with over 17,000 reviews, and the Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129, and don't forget about your air ducts. Take an additional $75 off when you get your air duct Zero Res clean. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 27, Thursday sunny with a high near 46, and Friday cloudy with a high around 44. Discover authentic Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine at the Great Wall Restaurant. Enjoy favorites like hot and sour soup, sesame chicken, and Peking duck. Conveniently located just south of 50th and France and Edina. Order takeout by calling 952-927-4439 or view the menu at GreatWallEdina.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. We also have in studio tonight with us Mr. Adam. How are you doing tonight?
Doing very well, sir. I'm very interested on tonight's topic as well. And it's a Wednesday. It's really thrown my entire week off because normally I'm here Thursdays and Fridays.
Yes.
And I almost feel like that I'm almost in a time warp, if you will, because all day today I'm thinking, oh, it's Thursday. Great. No, wait, it's Friday.
No, that's cruel. That's cruel. And you know who else you threw off with that as well is Chad, actually. Because Chad gave me a call on my way down here, and he's like, Adam's here tonight, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, because someone came into the building, but there's no cars outside. It's like, it's a ghost.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who was here. I figured it was one of the office people, so I just came down here and set up for the show. Never even bothered to go and say hello to anybody because I'm so rude like that.
Well, that's how it goes. Not everyone could be charming and wonderful as myself. So,
exactly. We're not all extroverts.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, right. That's me. All right. I do want to say quickly before we bring on Anthony is real fast. You may have heard Matt McNeil talk about AM 950 membership. So please consider doing that, going to am950radio.com and pick up membership. You may have heard that he said that there's a meet and greet with hosts, and this might stop people from actually signing up. But I just talked to Chad tonight, and whenever they do that, I'm going to be a part of that. So if you're interested in meeting and greeting, and also supporting the station, please consider going to AM950Radio and .com and sign up and get a calendar or whatever else that they're offering. So. Maybe they're offering this big TV behind us since they never use it. I don't know, Adam. I don't know what's going on around here.
I think that's the raffle.
That's the raffle. The prize is tell us how to use it.
Well, there's a remote control back here that I think goes to it, but I'm afraid to press it. Because you ever see the movie Remote Control with John Ritter?
I've only seen
back in the day.
I only saw the MTV game show.
Oh, there was a movie back in the day starring John Ritter, and he would get sucked into a TV, and the remote very much looks like the same one that was in that flick.
Real fast, the only why even bother putting it on? Look behind me. Look how much of the TV is actually on screen. What's the purpose? So yeah, you get it.
They signed my paycheck, so I'm not going to give you the purpose.
There we go. So anyway, so tonight I am very excited for tonight. This has been weeks in the making, and I love to talk UFOs, and I saw about a month or so ago that Anthony F. Sanchez had written a book called UFO Nexus: A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets, and I reached out to him to see if he'd like to be on the show. Not only did he want to be on the show, he sent me a copy of the book, and I found a new favorite author when it comes to UFO literature and talking about it. And what I like about it is that it is current as far as we know, with current events that have been happening this year surrounding UFO disclosures and other things. And I really am excited about it. So tonight, we are going to have this conversation about the book with its author, Mr. Anthony F. Sanchez. Anthony, how are you? Welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Greg.
Oh, I appreciate you very much that sent this. This was really, we were talking beforehand, and you can get the book over at ufocurrents.com. Mm-hmm. And if you get the book between now and the end of the year, as listeners of the show, if you buy the book, you're going to be sent 2 unique bookmarks that go with the book, which is great because then you can remember where you left off. But honestly, you may kind of read it all the way through because there is a lot of information in this book. Anthony, can you tell our audience what the book is about, please?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the book is about UFOs, UAPs, and extraterrestrials. One of the things I wanted to do was bring a contemporary nature to the book as a whole, because there's so much new stuff going on. With the congressional subcommittee hearings, David Grush making a splash onto the entire media scene. We're talking. There's such a profound. We're looking at such a profound moment in the history of UFOs.
Yeah,
it's been 50 years since 1970 to now that the government has taken a serious interest in UFOs. So we're at a real watershed moment.
It really does seem like that, and it doesn't seem like. And I'm curious what you think about this. It doesn't feel like that necessarily we went into hyperdrive, yet we did with the disclosure information. But I feel like over the last, like with this year being outstanding in that arena, it feels like that we've been kind of getting closer and closer in maybe tinier steps, but those tinier steps have been bigger than anything we had seen within the last, as you say, 50 years. So, I mean, it just feels like that we are in a forward moving momentum that is exciting and scary at the same time.
Right. And I think that the government has finally been pushed into like a box canyon per se, where they now can no longer deny the existence of UAPs when you have professional military personnel providing radar evidence, visual evidence, officially classified logs. These are things that cannot be denied by the government any longer. So if the best of our best within the ranks of the military are saying we're seeing something, we don't know what it is, and these things are essentially posing a risk to our operations, and we don't know if they're from our adversaries or if they're from another world, it needs to be taken very seriously.
It does. And I think one of the things too, that it doesn't matter in my mind. It does and it doesn't, that let's put to the side how much the government knows, how much the government is covering up. But what we learned from Grouch in particular, is that there is a form of bullying going on within their ranks of trying to suppress information from getting out. And that is that's a very serious charge in my mind, because it's it's bad enough if they are holding on and doing reverse engineering or whatnot, and are trying to cover that up. But, it has to be even worse that they're actually going to these people who are risking their lives. Like you said, the top of the top, the cream, is just the best. And that they're being threatened basically to keep their mouths shut.
Right. Kevin Day, who was a radar specialist on the USS Princeton, he was a part of this entire 2004 incident with the original Tic Tac UFO encounter. And he tried to come forward. He tried to explain to his superiors what he saw, and they really shut him down. And David Grush likes to term it as administrative terrorism.
Yeah.
He says whenever these guys try and go forward with their information, they hit a wall. And a lot of times it's not enough that they just hit a wall. They are met with punitive measures. They are punished. They jeopardize their career. They jeopardize their reputation. But here's the funny thing. Kevin Day came forth with all of his information, and they ridiculed the hell out of him. They really put him into a tough spot. But now that the government cannot deny the existence of UAPs, and you have Grush, Fravor, and Graves giving their testimony at the congressional subcommittee, looks like Kevin Day is fully justified.
Yeah,
he was telling the truth, and you have two of the three individuals that were up there telling you this really happened. So,
it brings up a point that I've often thought about, and I often think about this when it comes to conspiracy theories. And I'm curious if you would agree or disagree with it. I mean, you have politicians, and then you have government, and I think that they're two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, and this is why I say that, because you have at these congressional hearings, they're put forward. I mean, it's put forward by Knapp and Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, I know that they were a big part of moving that forward, but the people there were politicians. They're the ones who are listening and stuff.
Right.
But I feel like that the cover-ups and anything else that goes along with it, that is government, and it doesn't matter who's in control. I feel like that is that it's almost a machine upon itself.
Right. What you're talking about is political theater. You see.
Yeah.
So you have individuals within Congress, and in some cases the Senate, who are truly interested in the UAP phenomena. And they want the public to know what these hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on in some of these programs. Now, it's funny that with the NDAA that just came out that was put forth, there were Republicans and Democrats both siding saying, yes, let's get some information. Let's put a couple of lines in the NDAA that says, when we finally, solidify the funding for the next fiscal year or whatever, it's contingent on the fact that some UAP information is going to come forth. Well, at the last second, two representatives, two congressmen, Mike Turner and Mike Rogers, came out of left field and opposed it for no reason other than their concerns over funding.
Yeah.
These are two guys that never had a concern about UAPs, never cared about funding. So they're clearly being orchestrated and manipulated by somebody else who doesn't want UAP disclosure to come forth.
Right.
And by the way, it didn't get passed.
No.
Yeah.
And do you have any? I mean, who do you think that is? That's stopping it. I mean, because it's not like a special interest group or anything. I would think, right? It's more of a government.
I think I know who it is. I think we're talking about lobbyists, very powerful lobbyists, who are operating from within the military-industrial complex on behalf of aerospace firms who are in charge of reverse engineering or creating modern aircraft that uses reverse engineered technology. For instance, let's say that in 1947 in Roswell, when that UFO crash occurred, supposedly we found 3 dead aliens, one of them alive, and we recovered a craft. Colonel Phil Corso stated that a lot of the technology that they recovered was disseminated throughout the private sector.
Hmm.
A lot of semiconductor companies and whatnot. So let's just assume that technology over decades has been successfully reverse engineered and integrated into our technology or our aircraft, which is why we have such a profound edge over every other country on the planet, including Russia and China. They're not even close. We are still 30 to 50 years ahead of everybody when it comes to military technology, military armament, everything. The stealth technology that we have in our aircraft purportedly comes from, according to Phil Schneider, who in the 1990s was on the lecture circuit, and who subsequently was killed. He was showing geological samples that he said were synthesized using gray technology that was a precursor to our modern stealth technology. So a lot of people have concern that the Chinese have caught up to the U.S. Well, they haven't. What the Chinese have done is they've infiltrated academia and a lot of our corporate institutions, and they've stolen a lot of the intellectual property. This is a known thing throughout the government.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hacking incidents. So they've managed to reverse engineer a lot of the intellectual, proprietary intellectual knowledge that was circulated throughout our best universities, our top military industrial complex, corporate, entities. But everything that they've stolen doesn't compare to what can potentially be still, forthcoming with regards to UAP technology.
Mm-hmm.
This is why at Stanford University in November 17th and 18th, they had the Seoul Conference thrown by Professor Gary Nolan. The Seoul Conference had retired United States Army Colonel Carl Nell there, putting up a timeline saying that by 2030, two things. One, we're in a secret arms race over UAP technology with our adversaries, Russia and China. He's saying that by 2030, we have to go public with everything that we have on UAPs, but at the same time, it has to be carefully coordinated and released in a structured way as to not freak everybody out. And I talk about that in some articles that I wrote at my website, ufocurrents.com.
Definitely go and check it out. Well, Anthony, why don't we go ahead and do this? I'd like to take our first break. We have some questions that are stacking up in the chats. Everyone has questions. Feel free to put them in the chat, or else you can call in at 952-946-6205. The book is called UFS Nexus, A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
In the heart of the Northeast, there lies a hidden beast, a dragon's lair at the crossroad, guarded by the maiden Mother Crone. A treasure trove of spells galore, discover incense, books, jewelry, and more. Just as the oracles foretold, this is where your mystery unfolds. As the shadows creep and the veil gets thin, do not fear what lies within. Magus Books is where your journey begins. Visit us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or online at magusbooks.com.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
And welcome back to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. I'm Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Before we get back to Anthony, I just want to remind everybody we had Witch Jody on last week, and we talked about a seance that's happening this Friday. It's called the Yuletide site. Excuse me, if I could even speak. Maybe the government's trying to take over my speech patterns. I don't know. Yuletide seance. It's a great way to connect with your deceased loved ones for Christmas. That's happening this Friday. That would be the 15th of December. That's at 7 p.m. at Midwest Witchery and Healing in Stillwater at the Grand Garage. You can get your tickets over at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com. If I'm not mistaken, I think she mentioned that there are going to be some carolers there as well. And I really looking forward to it. I'm actually going to be there on Friday. So if you have a chance to go get some tickets, the Yuletide Seance. We are talking with Mr. Anthony F. Sanchez. We are talking about the book UFO Nexus, A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets. Man, this is quite the book. I mean, this is quite the conversation too. One that has to be talked about, isn't it? And Anthony, one thing that I had noted is that I had a couple questions come through. Mm-hmm. Joanne had said, when we're talking about more attention being put onto this, she's asking, is it the government or is that we are paying more attention as citizens?
I would have to say that it's both, because you do have a lot of Congress men and women who are concerned with the voices of their constituents, and the constituents are saying, hey, we're the taxpayers, we're paying all this money to ATIP and to Arrow and all these other groups that have existed, these organizations. What are you doing? Why are you studying UAPs? Is there something we need to be worried about? You know, there is a retired CIA agent by the name of John Ramirez. Mm-hmm. This guy is interesting. And people used to say he was kooky, but I don't think so. He has come out and said that by 2027, aliens are going to reveal themselves through the government or through the military or a combination of both. He says that we are standing on the cusp of what could be the most significant event in human history. Now, Carl Nell recently at the Seoul conference, symposium, was saying that we're in a race to avoid a catastrophic leak, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't want to lose to our adversaries with regards to UAP technology. So you have Carl now saying that by 2030, we need to have everything done. Excuse me, sorry, my voice. Then you have John Ramirez who's saying that by 2027, aliens are going to make themselves known to the public, mm-hmm. or at least to the government and the military. A lot of people are arguing that aliens have already made themselves known. You know, I spoke to a gentleman back in 2010 for my first book, UFO Highway, who said that there were gray aliens working alongside the military and scientists from Los Alamos National Laboratories in Dulce, New Mexico. So, I mean, that's a very famous story.
Yeah.
But if we've already had established contact with gray aliens, who is it that's going to be making themselves appear or apparent in 2027? You know, is it someone else? I mean, Linda Moulton Howe talks about the tall whites, also talks about the grays. You know, we have people throughout history talking about the Anunnaki.
Yep.
Many people believe that the Anunnaki are the progenitors who Colonel X back in 2010 said was the creator of the grays, who, you know, now reside in Dulce, New Mexico. By the way, there's apparently supposed to be gray aliens that also live at Pine Gap in Australia, their underground facility. And so, I mean, who is it that's going to appear in 2027?
Well, and so first of all, once again, folks, we're talking with Anthony Sanchez. The book that we are talking about tonight. Well, we're actually kind of going a little bit off topic there a little bit, but it's UFO Nexus: A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets, available at UFOcurrents.com. And also, if you get the book between now and the end of the year, as a special thank you for being a listener to Ghostbox Radio, Anthony's going to include 2 unique bookmarks. If you have any questions, put it into the comments, or if you have questions, you can call in 952-946-6205. That's 952-946-6205. Anthony, my question to you, though, after you said all that, is what do you think it is? What do you think? Do you think it's grays? Do you think, and to your point, I mean, I'm sure you have some kind of theory. If we are working along with these grays, aliens, whichever variety they are, and that there should be that they're going to let themselves be known to us by 2027. What's your theory on what's going to happen or who they are?
Well, for one, I do believe that the grays exist.
Yeah.
I've had my own personal experience with UFOs and grays all since my childhood. But based on the people that I've interviewed since 2009, I mean, that's a lot of time, and I've talked to a lot of people over the years. I'm talking about military personnel, first responders, medical people that work in the medical field, doctors. There are too many times that I've interviewed people that have independently told me things about the grays that they've encountered, where the similarities are just too close to be a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through my lab, which is a military abduction scenario, or a traditional UFO abduction that has nothing to do with the military, I think that what we're seeing is lots of evidence of the grays. I think that's who we're going to be encountering in the future. Mm-hmm. And the very prospect of an alien revelation happening in 2027, you got to remember, things like that were once considered mere conjecture. But now that has gained credence, especially with this leak of the disclosure plan that happened at the Seoul Symposium. There was a PowerPoint presentation. And on the presentation was a plan that outlined concepts, and I swear to you, they used terminology, such as a hierarchy of beings. And if you're a fan of Star Trek, they even mentioned something called the Prime Directive.
Oh, yeah.
So alongside a lot of the concerns about geopolitical implications of countries like Russia and China, is that they may potentially acquire extraterrestrial technology. So when Colonel Now says we're in a race to acquire UAP technology that, may appear or safeguard that which what we already have, he's talking about a significant threat to national security. All of this has to do with national security.
Right. And so a comment came through, and I'm trying to frame this up actually, because I understand what Chuck is saying here, but I also feel like that it can work the other way as well. And what Chuck says here is pre-internet accounts that match, like story-wise, that people, my understanding from that is that people who don't have access to see anything, that interests him more than current accounts. But I think we're talking about what you're dealing with is something very different than just finding information on the internet.
Right. We can go all the way back to 1985 when Whitley Strieber wrote his book Communion, which was the first book that had literally the cover was a picture of a gray face, a gray alien, and it freaked a lot of people out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will say, oh, well, since then, there's been a lot of stories about grays. No. Prior to 1985, there were tons of stories, firsthand accounts, witnesses, people who have been abducted and experimented on by gray aliens. And Whitley Strieber's book was just a catalyst to it finally becoming something that people were willing to speak about, including myself, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of open, kind of made it, I don't know if acceptable is the right word, but you know what I mean? Like, it gives you the okay.
You're talking with somebody who underwent therapy from the time they were a child for claiming they saw UFOs and aliens. I literally had experiences, which I wrote about in the book, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
My personal experiences, chapter 22, I believe. My UFO UAP experiences. My mom actually put me in therapy as a little kid because she didn't want me telling people that I saw UFOs, let alone that I saw a creature.
Right.
So I'm highly educated. I've been working in the semiconductor industry for over 20 years as a software engineer. I've consulted for the state of California. I've done work with Johns Hopkins University, APL, the FBI. I've done a lot of stuff. I'm not crazy. A lot of people say I'm jeopardizing my reputation and my career by talking about this. And perhaps I was, Greg. But that was 10 years ago. A lot of people were concerned for me. Mm-hmm. Now it's 2023. We just had congressional subcommittee hearings with a counterintelligence officer, David Grush, a famed pilot, David Fravor, and then Ryan Graves, and then not to mention Kevin Day, a radar specialist. All the things that they're talking about, these UFOs that they're encountering, these UAPs. I'm old school. I call them UFOs.
I do too. I don't like UAP.
Right. A lot of people don't realize it, but the term UAPs has been around since the 1960s. But it's just now that the government has been adopting UAPs as a means to kind of pull away from the media circus that tends to surround the term UFO. But my point is that this is such a pivotal time in history, and I think it's just undeniable. And I no longer am ashamed to admit that I've seen UFOs or that I've seen creatures. I had my own personal experiences. I was put into therapy. My therapist said, no, he's not crazy. He's a smart kid. But he says he saw what he saw. And, I'm not going to lie.
I find it interesting, Adam, you'll remember we had John Yost on back in April.
Yeah, for the alien special.
Exactly. And John told the same exact thing, Anthony, of his parents put him into therapy because they didn't like the fact that he was seeing something, and they didn't like what it was. And my question to you about that is, I mean, how did that set? I mean, how far did that set you back just as a person? I mean,
not really. I mean, it didn't set me back as a person. All I could do was tell the truth to my therapist. He wanted to know. I remember him to this day. His name was Dr. Jerry Agusa. He was a really brilliant man. And he asked me tons of questions, put me on the spot. And it wasn't interrogation. It was therapy. But, ultimately, I think he had to admit, this is what Anthony says he saw. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with him. He's still a normal kid. He wants to go to school, play baseball. And, apart from the fact that I've had these experiences, there's nothing abnormal about my life.
No. And I'm getting people in the comments who are just, this is what's been going on. Feels like therapy for a lot of people, like or a relief that they were able, like Julia's like, everyone who's called crazy aren't crazy anymore. It's like there is a sort of a release of that, and that is good to see. It's just unfortunate that it taken so much time, but say 2027 comes around,
right?
I mean, it will come around. I don't mean to make it sound like it won't, but 2027 comes around, we get these aliens that revealed themselves to us. Do you think we as the human race are ready for that?
I do, and I'll tell you why. Since the 1950s, the entire planet, at least the westernized world that's had access to movies and television, we've been conditioned through media, through early shows like The Twilight Zone, then Star Trek, then Star Wars, then Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Aliens, Predators. Every show, every blockbuster, even the Marvel franchise has conditioned the populace, the global populace, for the moment that when aliens do reveal themselves, yes, it's going to be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be terrifying. I think people will be accustomed to the idea and prepared to accept it. Whereas in the early days, in the 50s and the 60s, perhaps the 70s, they weren't ready.
It makes me think of that program Alien Nation, like
right.
And if they start living amongst us, and then they're being they're being they're basically racially profiled, and that they're
right.
It's not unreasonable to kind of go down those tracks. But
District 9. Remember District 9?
District 9, absolutely. And I thought it interesting, Communion 85, no one thought about Grays before that, but you look at something like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's what they were looking like, which it doesn't that have like a connection to that film, which the name of it's escaping me, that Rod Serling had, that he narrated, that they were working with the government. As a matter of fact, it's like the only UFO documentary, right, that actually has been, that they shot in the Pentagon for.
Right. I don't remember the name of it.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And that they were promised by the government, some sector of the government, that there was going to be footage of aliens at an Air Force base, and that was pulled at the last second. But that would have been that was meant to be disclosure. That was meant to be like our first time looking at that.
And that's a scenario that repeats itself throughout ufology. For instance, in back in the 1980s, Linda Moulton Howe had talked with Richard Doty, and Richard Doty was working for AFOSI over at Kirtland Air Force Base. I believe it was Kirtland Air Force Base, and he was essentially part of a program that was misdirecting Paul Benowitz, who had discovered radio signals that were alien in nature. And the Air Force was very interested in what he was doing. But anyway, Richard Doty had allowed Linda Moulton Howe to see some information, classified documentation, showing...
There's smoke in the bedroom. The alarm may sound. It's going to be loud.
Sorry about that.
Do you need to check on something?
I don't know.
Well, why don't we do this, Anthony? Why don't we go ahead? We take our next break. Why don't you go check on what you need to check on?
Yep.
And we'll work around. If you are still checking when we come back, we'll fill up the time. It's not a big deal. But why don't we do that? How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All righty. Why don't we take our next break? When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about UFO Nexus, a journey into alien realms and cosmic secrets. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Feeling like people just don't get the vibrant rainbow unicorn that is your celestial essence? Have you been wondering how you stepped into this infernal, mundane timeline full of muggles, NPCs, and toilet paper shortages? Here at Magus Books and Herbs, we get you, and are staffed with real-life unicorns just waiting to help you rediscover your shine. So come explore your magical side with books, herbs, incense classes, and more at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or online at magusbooks.com.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 27, Thursday sunny with a high near 46, and Friday cloudy with a high around 44. Experience the bold flavors of Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine at the Great Wall Restaurant. Indulge in their menu favorites like the hot and sour soup, sesame chicken, and Peking duck. Order for takeout and view the extensive menu at GreatWallyDina.com. Conveniently located just south of 50th and France and Edina. Again, GreatWallyDina.com.
And join us tomorrow on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. We're going to be doing a replay. We're going to be replaying the episode of Restoring the Patterson-Gimlin film with M.K. Davis. We're going to be running that tomorrow. And then Friday is Casual Friday. So stop on by. We kind of take it a little bit lighter on Fridays, talk about what we've discussed over the week, and just kind of ease ourselves into the weekend. So definitely, please continue checking us out over the rest of this week. And once again, folks, on Friday, it's going to be the Yuletide Seance over at Midwest Witchery and Healing. That is going to be a great way to connect with your deceased loved ones for Christmas. You can get tickets over at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com. That's this Friday, December 15th, and that starts at 7 p.m. So whole lots of good stuff going on there. Anthony, I see that you're back with us, so I am hoping that means that everything is all right over there.
Everything is fine. Yeah, I think it was the Google or the Nest thing went off on its own.
Well, you know, I mean, and you got to forgive us over here, all of us in the comments and stuff. You know, we're all talking about government and stuff, and all of a sudden, the alarms.
Right, that's odd. That was a surprise.
So good. I'm glad that everything. I'm glad that everything is working out over there. There's nothing wrong over there. We're talking tonight about Anthony's new book, UFO Nexus: A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets. You can get this book over, and I put this into the chat, UFOcurrents.com. Go there. You can not only see that book, but other articles you've written, also other books that you have available. And honestly, Anthony, this book, there's something about like, and I was talking with Adam about it beforehand, the idea of having kind of, as you even mentioned yourself, a contemporary writer of UFO. And I mean, we've had some great authors on who have talked about, we had a great discussion with about Roswell, stuff like that. But this is, you're even including like the Arizona sightings and stuff as well.
Right. As a matter of fact, I talk about the 2023 Las Vegas alien incident.
Exactly.
This is a family.
That's actually what I meant. Yes, which is not in Arizona.
Right. So in April 30th, on the evening of April 30th at midnight, which led into May 1st, a family in Las Vegas called 911. And they were terrified. They saw a large craft land in their backyard. It blurred the entire The area was blurred. They could see through it, but they couldn't make what it was that was obfuscating or blurring their vision. It also gave them headaches, by the way.
Yeah.
They saw 2 8-foot to 10-foot tall, gray-looking aliens. Terrifying. And they also they ran back into their home, and they heard these aliens walking on the roof of their house. They called 911. The police showed up. Not only did the police freak out, but at the same time that the family had made the 911 call, just prior to that, the police on their body cam had captured a blue-green streak in the sky. It would look like a meteorite or something.
Yeah.
And then also at the same time, at another house in another part of the city, you literally could see the entire night sky light up. You hear what sounds like a typical 1950s, 1960s style UFO sound effect, and then like a small explosion. You've heard a small explosion. So you have three things all happening at the same time. Yet they want you to believe this is a hoax. Nothing happened. Well, News Nation did a really good interview with a private investigator. And I got to tell you, based on everything that we're hearing from Congress, with all the UAP disclosure, all of these military personnel, that are very forthcoming, I think that we need to pay very close attention to incidents like what happened in Las Vegas. I've studied it repeatedly, and I'm telling you, that was not a hoax. That family saw something. And it's just a bit of a fun fact, but Las Vegas is just 147 miles away from Rachel, Nevada, which is the closest inhabited area to Area 51. So that's nothing. That's 147 miles is a skip, jump, and a hop away from Area 51.
It is, and I've been up that way before, and it is something very different up there. But I'll tell you also, we talk about, when I hear stories about like the aliens walking on the roof of the house and stuff, my mind goes to like the film Signs, where it's not a great situation. There's nothing that in that video that they've done that makes themselves sound like that they're aggressive or anything.
Right.
But at the same time, we talk about, would we be ready in 2027 for that? And it's stuff like that makes it really hard for me to believe that we will be, because unless we have between now and then like more and more sightings that aren't scaring us, it is a kind of a frightening situation a little bit.
In 1997 over Phoenix, they had the Phoenix lights. You familiar with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's funny, but in 1997, this was a massive event.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought this is something we were never going to see again. A mile-wide UFO slowly hovering over the night sky of Phoenix. There was lots of photographic and video evidence of that. 10 years later in Stevensville, Texas, the same thing happened again.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people that are familiar with MUFON showed up to Stevensville, Texas. And they thought they were going to talk to maybe like a dozen people at most. They were shocked when over 300 people showed up to speak with the MUFON investigators to tell them they had seen something, that they didn't understand what it was. And by the way, there's a lot of other ancillary anecdotes around Stevensville, other stories that most people are not aware about that went on, that happened. It was a very shocking event. But Stevensville, Texas is surrounded by a bunch of military bases.
Yeah.
Some Army, some Air Force. And so is Phoenix, Arizona. So the fact that we're seeing these massive UFOs near military bases, some of them nuclear installations across the Southwest and other parts of the country, it's not surprising. I think that a lot of these alien appearances via UFOs are happening around nuclear installations for a reason.
I'd wondered that. Before I touch a little bit more on that, I always kind of find it interesting, the Phoenix lights in particular, almost more in some ways just as famous was the mayor's reaction to it at the time by basically making fun of it. But what I don't know, a year later, what I don't know how many people realize that he got on. I mean, now he speaks all the time about he's a believer. He's an absolute believer of it now.
That's right. So I think that God, what was it? Fife Symington. His name was Fife Symington. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Initially at the press conference, he had a guy come out in a gray alien, blow up suit, made fun of it.
Yeah.
But a year later, he too had to admit, we didn't know what to tell the military.
Yeah.
We did not know what it was. And a lot of those reports were from highly credible individuals.
I wonder, a couple of things are coming up in the chat here. Julie was saying that I was going to ask if there's a correlation between radiation and aliens, which is good. And she also says the Enola Gray was used to drum nuclear bombs or drop nuclear bombs, and then the aircraft was later kept at Roswell. The thing that I wonder about, and this is more prophetic and kind of outside the realm of what we're talking about, but I wondered if there's a point that aliens need to step in and show themselves, because even though they might be working with us, maybe we as humans take something a step too far, and that they need to come in just because they need to maybe fix something that maybe we're not able to actually do something with to fix something we might have done.
There's a great book that was written by Robert Hastings called UFOs and Nukes, and then Luis Elizondo, who was in charge of the ATIP, the now defunct ATIP program.
Yeah.
Their narratives essentially point to the fact that these aliens are making themselves apparent because we have gone too far with our propensity for development of nuclear arms, nuclear bombs. We're at a point where Pakistan, India, Israel, France, the UK, Russia, China, us, God knows who else, possess so many nuclear weapons. Just Russia and the United States alone have a combined 10,000 ICBMs that can end the world.
Yeah.
As we know it. By the way, I want to apologize to the audience. The reason why I'm breathing heavily and my voice is a little bit tough is because I was paralyzed for 2 years. And I just regained my ability to speak. So thank you for having me on, Greg. I appreciate it. I'm doing the best that I can.
No, you're doing great. And I'm so glad that that you're progressing so well.
Thank you.
That is great news. And I'm glad. I am thrilled to have you on, and I hope that you want to come back on.
Oh, definitely.
Many times. Now, Julie has a question, and the question is, are the aliens that are working with the government perhaps not good, and that is why hostile aliens attacking?
There have been incidents where the aliens have abducted individuals and experimented on them. I don't want to get too graphic, but like you've heard of the cattle mutilations, right?
Absolutely.
There have been incidents where there have been human mutilations. And there was supposedly some back and forth between the gray aliens and the military over these types of incidents. And they had to come to an agreement, make all that stop. And yes, there are bad aliens and there are good aliens. There are a lot of people out there that are pushing these narratives for one or the other. But I tend to believe that there's both.
Yeah.
You have good aliens and you have bad aliens. I will say that the Greys that are in Dulce, New Mexico, there are two factions. You have the dissident Greys, which is a younger group of Greys. And then you have these older Greys. The older Greys don't really care about humanity at all. But the dissident Greys are the ones that are working alongside facets of the military-industrial complex, the RAND Corporation. Some people went so far as to say even IBM had a footprint there in Dulce, New Mexico. So a lot, and like I said, Phil Schneider had gone on the record before he was killed, saying that the precursor to a lot of the stealth technology was synthesized by the Greys and given to the military or to the aerospace companies.
Yeah. Well, I would have just thought that the bad aliens were the ones that worked for Russia. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and because we're running out of time here, but I mean, the aliens that were recovered at Roswell, they were Greys, weren't they?
Right. It's believed that they were Greys. So the Roswell incident involved two things: recovery of debris.
Yep.
And then that was taken to Roswell Army Airfield. And then, so this was a flying disc, but there was also purportedly 4 aliens, 3 of them dead, 1 of them alive, Yeah, the 3 dead bodies were taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and the one that was alive, I believe, stayed in New Mexico or went to Nevada, where he ended up dying late in the 50s.
Yeah, no.
From whom they learned a lot from, by the way.
Right. Absolutely incredible. Once again, folks, I just want to remind everyone, please support Anthony. Pick up his book, UFO Nexus, A Journey into Alien Realms and Cosmic Secrets. We really didn't talk a whole lot about what's in the book, and the book itself is absolutely fascinating. I could absolutely, Anthony, guarantee that people are not going to be disappointed in this book one bit.
Oh, thank you so much.
I mean, it is absolutely amazing. Once again, you can pick up the book over at UFOcurrents.com. If you go there, get the book, please, because it also shows, Anthony, that people listen to the show. But also, you'd get a couple bookmarks. From it. And that's up until the end of the year. You can do that. And Anthony, I mean, we're going to have to get you back on here soon because there is so much to talk about. And I think we could, even if you wanted to, we could take like sections and just have a whole episode about sections of your book.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we didn't even touch on the fact that we're developing artificial general intelligence. When you think about it, I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking about AGI. AGI, we're creating an alien non-human sentience, which is inherently dangerous.
So let's get you back on early in 2024. How's that sound?
Thank you. I would love to be back on.
Thank you very much. That's it for us tonight. Tomorrow, we are going to be doing that replay with MK Davis. We'll be back for Casual Friday. Everyone, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Greg.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that